didn't notice it right away. That's what keeps bothering me. How easily it slipped past me at the start. Nothing dramatic. Nothing that screamed something is wrong, just small things. The kind you explain away without even thinking. We had just come back from a quiet weekend out of the city. A cheap cabin surrounded by trees so dense they blocked out most of the sky. No signal, barely any noise, just wind moving through branches and that constant, low silence that presses in on you if you sit with it too long. It was supposed to be relaxing, and for the most part, it was. The drive back felt normal. It was a little quieter than usual, but not in a way that stood out, just tired. We'd barely slept, spent most of the time walking trails that all looked the same after a while. He leaned his head against the window, watched the road, answered when I spoke. Nothing strange. If something changed out there, I didn't see it happen. I've gone over those 2 days more times than I can count, trying to find a moment where things shifted. A look, a conversation, something we missed. There's nothing, just a slow, quiet difference that followed us home. The first thing I noticed was the lights. He started leaving them on. At first, it was just 1 or 2, the kitchen light glowing long after we'd gone to the living room, the bathroom left on overnight. Small things. Annoying, but harmless. I'd switch them off behind him, half joking about the electricity bill. He'd smile, say he forgot. But then it started happening more. Every room we moved through stayed lit, like he didn't want any part of the apartment to fall into darkness. Even spaces we weren't using, especially those. One night, I turned off the bedroom light as we were getting ready to sleep. The reaction was immediate. Not loud, not dramatic, just stillness. He stopped moving completely, mid-motion, like something inside him paused. The silence that followed felt heavy, like the room itself was waiting. "Can you leave it on?" he said. His voice was calm, but there was something underneath it. Something tight. I laughed, thinking he was joking. Since when? "Just tonight. You've never cared about sleeping with the lights off." I know. I stood there for a second, watching him, waiting for him to break into a smile or roll his eyes. He didn't. There was no humor in his face, no hint of a joke, just that same quiet tension. "It's just for tonight," he added. It was such a small request. I didn't push it. I turned the light back on. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. The next night, it was the same, and the night after that. Except now, it wasn't just about the light being on. It was about how it was on. Too bright, and he'd adjust it. Too dim, and he'd fix it again. He wanted the room visible, but not fully lit. Shadows softened, but not gone. Edges still present. Enough light to see, but not enough to erase the dark completely. I didn't understand it, but I let it go. People go through phases. Stress, lack of sleep, something stuck in their head. I figured it would pass. Then I noticed something else. At night, he wouldn't look at me. At first, I thought I was imagining it. During the day, everything felt mostly normal. He'd talk, sit close, brush past me in the kitchen like always. But as soon as the sun went down, something changed. He avoided my eyes, not in a subtle way, in a deliberate one. If I turned toward him, he'd shift his gaze. The wall, the floor, the edge of the bed, anywhere but my face. It didn't feel accidental. It felt controlled, like he was making a conscious effort not to look. The first few times, I brushed it off. By the 4th or 5th night, I couldn't ignore it anymore. We were sitting in bed, the light on, the TV running quietly in the background. Neither of us was paying attention to it. I turned toward him. "Why won't you look at me?" He didn't respond right away. His jaw tightened slightly. I saw that. "I'm looking at you," he said. "No, you're not. I just don't feel like making eye contact. That doesn't make any sense." He exhaled slowly, rubbing his face like he was trying to wake himself up. "It's nothing," he said. "You're overthinking it." That answer should have ended the conversation, but something about the way he said it didn't sit right. It sounded rehearsed. "You're acting like I did something wrong," I said quietly. That got to him. I saw it in the way his posture shifted, the way his shoulders tightened. "You didn't do anything wrong." "Then what is it?" Silence. Long enough to feel uncomfortable, long enough to feel intentional. "Finally," he said, "I just don't like looking at your face in the dark." The words landed heavier than they should have. I let out a small, awkward laugh. "Okay, that's weird, I know. So what does that even mean?" He hesitated. Then he said it carefully, like he was choosing each word. "Sometimes it looks like it moves." I stared at him, waiting for him to smile, to take it back, to explain it as a bad joke. He didn't. "Moves," I repeated. "Not like you moving," he said quickly. "It's just off." "Off how?" He swallowed, his gaze still avoiding mine. like it doesn't stop when you do. A cold feeling settled in my chest. That doesn't make any sense, I know. Then why say it like that? Because I don't know how else to explain it. There was something real in his voice. Not dramatic, not exaggerated, just confused and scared. I didn't know what to do with that. So I did what people usually do when something doesn't fit into reality. I ignored it. For a few days, I pretended everything was normal. But once something like that gets into your head, it doesn't leave. I became aware of my own face in a way I never had before. The way I smiled, the way I blinked, the way my muscles relaxed. I started catching my reflection everywhere. Mirrors, windows, the black screen of my phone. Everything looked fine, but sometimes it didn't feel fine. There were moments where something felt delayed, like I'd stopped smiling, but the sensation of it lingered. Just a fraction too long. Not enough to clearly see, but enough to notice, enough to feel wrong. One night, I decided to test it. It was 2:13 a.m. I remember checking the time twice. He was asleep, or pretending to be. I slipped out of bed and walked to the bathroom. The light flickered slightly before settling. The mirror was fogged from the humidity. I wiped it clean with my hand, leaving streaks across the glass. Then I stood there, looking at myself. I looked normal, tired maybe, a little pale, but normal. I forced a small smile, held it, then let it drop. It dropped immediately. Nothing strange. I exhaled, feeling a little ridiculous. Then I tried again. This time, wider, teeth showing, holding it longer. Then I stopped, and for a moment, the reflection didn't. It was subtle, so subtle I almost missed it, but it lingered. A fraction of a second longer than it should have. That was enough. My stomach tightened instantly. I stepped back, my heart starting to race. "No," I whispered. I leaned forward again, forcing myself to look. Everything was normal, perfectly normal. I stayed there longer than I should have, trying to recreate it, but it didn't happen again. Eventually, I convinced myself it was nothing, just my eyes adjusting, just stress, just something explainable. It had to be. When I went back to bed, he was awake. I could tell from his breathing. "You were in there a while," he said quietly. "Yeah." I hesitated. Then I said it. "I think I saw what you meant." The silence that followed felt heavier than anything before. "What did you see?" he asked. My reflection, it lagged. He sat up slowly. "You shouldn't have checked," he said. "You didn't tell me not to." I was trying to. "Well, I can't ignore it now." "Yes, you can." The way he said it, firm, immediate, unsettled me more than anything else. "Why?" I asked. Because it didn't sound like denial. It sounded like a warning. He didn't answer right away. Then, slowly, he turned his head toward me for the first time in days. And I wish he hadn't, because the look on his face wasn't confusion anymore. It was recognition. "You're doing it again," he whispered. My chest tightened. "Doing what?" He stared at my mouth. "You stopped," he said. "What?" "You stopped moving," but it didn't. I reached up and touched my lips. They felt completely still. "I'm not smiling," I said. "I know." "Then what are you seeing?" His voice dropped lower. "It's still there." I didn't sleep that night. After that, I didn't need a mirror to feel it. There was a tension in my cheeks that didn't match what I was doing. A faint pull at the corners of my mouth, even when I knew I wasn't smiling. And then, other people started reacting. Not directly, but enough to notice. A co-worker hesitating mid-conversation, a cashier avoiding eye contact, a child staring at me too long before turning away. Like something about my face didn't match the moment, like I was expressing something I wasn't aware of. I stopped going out as much, stopped looking at people, stopped letting them look at me. And him, he barely stays in the same room as me after dark. Last night I turned off the light just to see what would happen. He didn't argue, didn't panic, he just got up and left. I sat there alone in the dark, completely still, or at least I thought I was. After a while, I picked up my phone and opened the front camera. The screen lit up my face. For a second, everything looked normal. Then, it didn't. My expression didn't match how I felt. It was too calm, too fixed, and slowly, very slowly, it widened. I dropped the phone immediately. I haven't looked at it since. I'm sitting here now. The light is on, but I can still feel it, that subtle pull, that tension. Like something is holding a shape I'm not making. I don't know if it's real. I don't know if it's in my head, but I understand him now, because I feel it too. That moment, right after I stop smiling, when something else doesn't.